Today we are attempting to cook an entire gourmet meal using nothing but a Ryzen processor. If that sounds like a terrible idea to you, then you would be correct. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN, who are kind enough to, well, enable this madness. So ExpressVPN is your one-stop shop to keep your entire online browsing habits safe and secure, so be sure to go check them out at the link in the description. But for now, well, we have a very questionable idea. So the way this is supposed to work is very simple. So we are taking advantage of a first generation Ryzen 5, and theoretically, we will be able to cook food no problem with it. So essentially, the way this would work is instead of using a standard like heatsink that you would find on a traditional processor, instead we're going to take all that heat and put it into cooking our bacon and our eggs and other equally terrible ideas. If we can take the heat that is coming off of that processor using something like these little copper cups, which we hope is the best way to actually transfer the heat over, then we should be able to get that copper incredibly hot, close to boiling, about 220 degrees or so, or about 100 degrees Celsius, which should be enough to cook pretty much everything on the table. So as far as building a PC for this, we're keeping it very simple. So all I'm doing is I'm just putting together the most bare bones of bare bones systems, because all I really need to do is get a copy of Windows up and running, and I'm gonna max the CPU out with something like Prime 95.
I bought these with this size in mind because this was about the smallest that I could get without going into actual like full miniature size.
This feels so wrong. The thing is though, I can't actually apply that much pressure to the to the top, so I actually want to try to get it sort of evenly spread right at the gate. Oh god, that's disgusting. Here goes nothing. Hopefully I can get this a nice even spread. Yeah, I mean, it's stuck. Oh, that's kind of stuck on there. This is not what liquid cooling is all about. Dude, that looks so ridiculous. Oh. All right, so CPU fan error is posting in safe mode. 91! Oh, wow, that's super hot. Okay, wait, hang on. Do we even need to get into, oh, it's dead. It's hot.
Oh wow, yeah, you can actually feel it.
I think we should probably change the processor though. I think first gen is probably a little bit too warm. So I need to get this Ryzen, oh look how gross that, It looks like someone sneezed on the processor. Got so much thermal paste. I actually think I'll need a little bit more. So now we've swapped out our first gen Ryzen 5 with a third gen Ryzen 5. The main difference here is really going to be in the fact that this is a much more power efficient processor, which hopefully means that it won't overheat by the time we try to actually get it up and running. Okay, 81 degrees already. That is not any better. That is so hot. CPU over temperature error, CPU fan error. Now we have a CPU fan attached. Let's try that again. Dude, that is legitimate airflow on the cup. I think that actually might fix it. This is so dumb. One good thing is actually, I think our job is a little bit simpler now that we know that the BIOS will get it so hot. We actually don't even need to boot into Windows, run Prime 95, anything like that. Literally just trying to like sit on the BIOS seems like it's enough to cause major issues. What we may have to do is either get more cooling, or theoretically, even if it's crashing, it would still work. We can just, as stupid as it sounds, we can just try to restart it until we get to the point where this actually works. So the plan right now is questionable. So we know that it is actually getting obviously very, very warm. That copper cup should be hot enough to cook pretty much anything we want. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna add a little bit of butter, and by a little bit, I mean a lot bit. So we are currently 95 degrees, and the butter is almost entirely melted. That's a good sign. Should we crack an egg and get started?
Sure. Oh, that is literally the right amount.
Oh, dude!
Look at that.
Oh, that was an expert pour. This is gonna take a while, isn't it? That's a lot of egg. So the egg itself is actually still pretty cold on the top, but if we look at it from the side, we can see that the bottom is actually significantly warmer. So we've been here for quite a while. Now, if we take a look at the thermal camera, what we see is that it's about 37 degrees Celsius on top, which is not terrible. The problem is, it's not enough to cook an egg. So, unless we want to be here all day and slowly warm the egg, I think we need a different strategy. So it is a new day and we have a new plan. So yesterday when we were cooking, we were able to cook the egg. The problem was there was too much egg to cook. So if you actually looked on the bottom of it, it actually was fully cooked, but it was only maybe about 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters of egg, which is obviously not enough. So today, we're going to be using the egg whites. All right, we're at 59 degrees and climbing rapidly. Okay, so I assume it's probably gonna take about, well, I was gonna say 5 minutes, probably a little less than 5 minutes to actually properly heat up. So would you like to pour the egg whites, or will I have the honor of pouring it all over the motherboard?
I don't trust you.
I don't trust me either.
All right, for safety.
Oh, look at that. You're so smart. Whoa, dude, as soon as you poured that in, we actually saw CPU temperatures drop. It went up to like 93 and now it's back down to 90. Dude, look, it's properly getting cooked there. And the nice thing is the CPU is actually not overheating now. It's sort of leveled off. I mean, 94 is incredibly hot, but that's good prime cooking temperature. Dude, that's almost cooked. How long has it been, like 3 or 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Have we discovered the key to perfect eggs? A tiny cup and hundreds of dollars of computer hardware?
Yeah, that. So I don't want to jinx it. But I think, this is the perfect time.
Cheese? Do you want to give it another minute, or do you just want to drop the cheese on right now?
We're just going to drop it in.
Okay, so I think the key here is that we have heat, but we have a small amount of heat. So don't put a lot of cheese in, just add a little bit.
I think this is probably enough, right?
Let me see. Yeah, that should be fine.
All right, let's just sprinkle it in. Might even restrict it a little bit. Yeah, I think that would be good.
That is not what you ever want to see. That looks ridiculously hot. But the thing is, all that heat is definitely being transferred in. You can actually see the way that sort of the edges have cooked through, whereas that little bit over here on the right is not quite as warm. So the cheese on the side is starting to attach, but the bottom, like the egg, is almost cooked all the way through. We've still not killed. It's 109, so it is super hot. So the thing is, this gives me an idea. So we know that Ryzen is actually really reasonably power efficient usually. Obviously, a cooler is helpful for any processor. But I saw a video the other day of someone on Twitter who had taken one of the Ryzen laptops, they like opened it up, and they were actually running the Ryzen laptop completely bare, so there was nothing on top of the processor, no cooler, no heatsink, nothing. And it was actually able to play a game and like sort of benchmark and stuff.
Oh.
Maybe that's the follow-up to this. Once we're done with our ridiculous cooking, like that, we actually should try on the laptop and see what happens.
Yeah, because if it doesn't shut off like this, that's actually really impressive.
Ooh. That looks pretty good, right?
That's basically just a miniature version of what you'd have at IHOP.
Smells like egg and cheese. All right, let me taste it. Oh, it's very hot. Tastes like eggs and cheese. I don't know what to expect. The cheese is melty though. Should we make some s'mores?
Yes.
I think we can melt some chocolate.
I would like to think so. Maybe not the marshmallows might be a little tough. So I've gone through the trouble now of making a tiny s'more for ants. So I grabbed our animal crackers. I had to get it into a fine chunk that we can use for a s'more. Look at that.
Dude, it's so small.
This is literally gonna be the smallest s'more ever. And for the sake of simplicity, because I know this won't do it any favors, or maybe it will, feel free to chime in. But should we put a top cracker?
No, I want to be able to see if it's actually melting or if we're wasting our time.
Yeah.
You know, if you squint a little bit, this looks like a really cool cooking show right now. You've got like the light behind you. You're there carefully crafting your creation.
You know what, I will call that good. Oh yeah, there we go.
Those crackers are not going to actually transfer the heat very well. So if this doesn't work, we actually may need to knock the chocolate off and then put it back together when we pull it out.
Putting chocolate on the cup itself is really easy. So I want to see how far we can get with making an actual s'more first, and then if not, we can just see how easy it is to melt chocolate.
So while our s'mores are cooking away, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, ExpressVPN. So I use ExpressVPN because not only do they keep me safe and secure online, but also they do it with a high level of speed. No one wants to use a VPN if it ends up slowing you down. So not only does a VPN like ExpressVPN keep you safe and secure online when you're, say, on public Wi-Fi, but it even helps you with your privacy when you're at home. So a lot of ISPs, specifically here in the United States, do a lot of data logging to see what you're doing online, and ExpressVPN keeps you very much safer than if you're just doing it by yourself. But the other aspect that really is helpful with ExpressVPN is the ability to sort of change your location to anywhere around the world. So say you want to watch a certain video sharing service in a different country, well guess what? ExpressVPN has you covered, and I got you covered as well. So if you want to sign up for ExpressVPN right now, you can get 3 months for free by signing up at the link in the description at expressvpn.com/Austin. If you want to help support the wonderful sponsor of ridiculous projects like this and get yourself some safety and security, go check out expressvpn.com/Austin and get your 3 months of free service. Thanks, ExpressVPN. I'm gonna go back to making questionable content now. so that you can keep all of the audience safe and secure. Oh yeah, the chocolate's getting a little bit melty. So the problem is that chocolate actually has, like, essentially the s'more on the bottom, the little graham cracker, is actually not allowing the heat all the way through. We may want to take the spoon and just sort of knock, actually can't see that at all.
Yeah. I mean, you can see the chocolate kind of glazing a little bit. It's nice.
I think let's knock the chocolate and the marshmallow onto the actual copper.
Okay, I mean, that ruins our s'more, but for the sake of science.
Look at that. It's melted right onto the spoon. That's pretty melty.
Not too bad. Hold on, all right, ready?
All right, give me that sweet taste test.
Oh, it's actually really warm.
Sorry, is it too hot?
That marshmallow was actually really soft. I mean, it was already soft, but like the heat did a little more to it. When Ryzen 4000 series comes out on desktop, everyone's gonna come out with their benchmarks, their reviews are gonna be like, can this cook a s'more? Can we cook bacon on it this time? We'll see.
You know what I think it's time for? I think it's time to go find a Ryzen 4000 laptop and see if we can actually get it to work with zero cooler whatsoever.
Are we gonna cook on it?
No, we already cooked. That was a bad idea.
Okay.
Before we tear apart the laptop, I do want to say it actually is a pretty nice piece of hardware. Yes, it is quite plasticky, but the thing is you get pretty much everything you're expecting at this price point. Obviously, as you'll see in a second, the performance is solid when you have it fully assembled, but you have a great keyboard like most Lenovo laptops. The touchpad does feel a little bit hollow since it is so plasticky, but you have nice features like, of course, a standard SSD and 8 gigs of RAM. But importantly, you do have a fingerprint sensor as well as a little cover for the webcam. The thing here, though, I want to find out is where does it actually come in completely stock? I want to run a series of benchmarks, and then we can begin our Frankenstein surgery to see exactly how much Ryzen can handle. So to begin with, I want to get a little bit of a benchmark. So I'm going to run a few different benchmarks, including 3D Mark TimeSpy to get a good sense of the graphics. I also do have Cinebench, which is a good CPU test, and we'll throw in a copy of Geekbench as well just to see how this guy performs completely stock. If you've seen our video on the Asus Zephyrus G14, you'll know that the Ryzen 4th generation series for mobile is incredibly powerful. Not only does it have some of the best GPUs out there, but having 4, 6, and even 8 cores in such a thin and ultimately cheap form factor is incredibly impressive. So I have pretty high hopes right now. So just for reference, this is a system with the Ryzen 5 4500U. Ideally, I would have gotten something with Ryzen 3, which is a 4-core processor. However, I couldn't actually get my hands on any of those right now. So instead, I'm actually doing the mid-range model with 6 cores. All right, so I have all of my benchmarks run, so I know where we're at for stock, which obviously is very impressive since it is one of these new Ryzen laptops. So the next step is to shut this guy down and start the disassembly, which I think should be easy. So we have 4 screws around the CPU socket. We have our 2 heat pipes, which actually don't really seem to be particularly well stabilized. I think the back chassis mostly holds them on. And they have 1, 2, 3 screws around the fan. So this little die has 8 cores and a full GPU on board. It's like, what, the size of my fingernail? But now, I want to leave this completely open to the air and I want to take some thermal sort of imagery of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially hook it up with a mouse, keyboard, and an external monitor and see what happens. Hey, it works. Okay, it's working right now. Literally, with nothing cooling the processor at all, it is working. Oh, look at that, that's not terrible. 2 gigahertz. Seems to be working, kind of like open up a video. A little stuttery, but this straight up works. I am using a Ryzen laptop. Okay, very stuttery. So my next task, I want to get the thermal camera out, start running some benchmarks, and see just exactly how this is working. So to test, I'm going to be using a Seek thermal camera attached to the iPhone. So you can see that the camera is a toasty 36 degrees right now, but when we actually look at the laptop, at least on this side, it's not crazy. It's seeing 36 degrees, which is totally reasonable. So interestingly, over here seems to be sort of one of the hot spots, which I don't even know what that is, maybe the VRM for the chip. The chip itself, I mean, 56 degrees or so is definitely warm. The problem is that because I'm using a thermal camera, the actual chip itself you can see in the middle is dark, which means that because it's reflective, it's actually not showing me the true temperature. All right, here goes nothing. Let's fire up Cinebench and see what happens. It literally throttles at 0.38 gigahertz. Oh, it crashed. It was working so well too! Oh man. So a good question is, why does this work and this might not? Well, the difference is that there's really nothing besides air that's just sort of hitting the back of the laptop right now, where this is directly attached. So between that thermal paste, the copper heat pipes and this fan, it actually can move a fair bit of air and efficiently transfer the heat from the processor to, well, the air. So let's see if this actually works. At least it's not crashing now, so that's good. Oh, look at that. That is dramatically better. So right now we're sitting at 2.9 gigahertz? What, are you trying to tell me this actually works? So we come around back here. Oh, the temperatures are actually a little bit warmer than they were before.
So we're still seeing actually really solid performance. Before we were stuck at like 400 megahertz, but with the actual fan blowing on the laptop, we're now pretty consistently sitting at 2.7 to 2.9 gigahertz on one core.
I don't even really know what to say about this. Obviously it's very impressive, and now we're starting to throttle down to 1 gigahertz. But it's incredibly impressive that we've come so far to the point where not that long ago, a laptop like this would have a dual core processor at 2.5 gigahertz. But now we have 6 cores with essentially 0 cooling, all still running. I mean, yeah, it's throttle city, but it's not dead. Okay, so surprising no one, the multi-thread didn't actually make a big difference. So if you look at the actual score, which we should have gotten, which is about 2382, that is a big hit with, no cooling, but it's still really impressive. The real test, can we play Crysis without any CPU cooling and GPU cooling whatsoever? So I'm turning down all of my settings to minimum. Let's see if I can actually get a decent frame rate here. Okay, 20-ish FPS. Is this a great experience? Absolutely not. Is it super stuttery? Yeah, but I'm getting 20 FPS. Come on. Oh, and it died. It died. Oh, man. Yo, look, do not try this at home. But the fact that we're able to play a game which would have stressed a laptop like this from just a couple years ago, even with full cooling, is incredibly impressive. So stay in school, cool your processors, don't try this at home, and subscribe to the channel for more ridiculous nonsense like this. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go put this back together. I think it's a little bit much right now.